Hello, everybody. Hope you have a good day. Um, I might not make this video too long. Try not to cut down on the time because I know sometimes my videos can get like kind of long and kind of get kind of distracting. Hope everybody doing good out there. Um, I have something on my mind. I gotta tell you. You know, I had to do some self evaluation this week, and I like thought about life. I thought about some, why there's such a division and how being bitter, being angry, and bringing back things of the past can kind of keep you separate and keep your blessings from getting forward. Um, where I start at? First, let's talk about the human condition of racism and prejudice, and bigotry. Where did this come from, and how personally how it affected me, how I looked at people? Sometimes you don't come into this world judging people and looking at one person that looks different from you and maybe having that one bad experiences. And you try not to have a grudge. You try not to put people all in the same category. But unfortunately, you have people out there that don't know how to do the same. There was a time, and I'm gonna be level. I'm gonna be level with you. That I got around the wrong type of people of the opposite race, and it just happened to be white. And I don't I remember ever telling no one this story, but how when you get around some people, even though that you see them as how God sees them as a person, sometimes some people don't see you as a person by their actions and by their methods. Prejudice was never in my heart. Racism was never ever in my heart. Because when you seen so much, death go out, and you see people suffer, and you have people that are around you close, it make you evaluate your own life. And it really, I don't, when you get older, you don't have enough time and patience to deal with people who have a one-track sided mind. And there were people throughout my life that when I went to Catholic church, I was the only black person in the class. And I remember how people were that kind of funny towards me. They were they include you, but they really didn't want to get to know you. And so I never thought much about it. So I kept quiet. I kept to myself. And, my mom would try to, I was always an introvert anyway. But it's hard, even though your parents want to take you into a better environment. But sometimes, what if you're in an environment where people don't not accept you? And that's how I got to really be around people that look different than me. And when I was in junior high school, I went through my share of racism, getting racial fights. And, elementary school, I didn't have it so much. I almost got it to the end of my year. I thought it was about to be like that. And at all that time, I was able to be one of the people that separate the character more than the group, the character of the person more than the group. And it's something that's generational that most people don't want to admit, and they just don't want to keep it real. They just want to excuse it. But in time, you find good within the human race. You find other people, that they mock you. They can't. They don't understand. You're just their person. You're their friend. You just look different, but you're their friend. But there's some people that can handle different. So either they think that they're gonna mock you to get to know you, you're just like a tool. You're like a toy to me. And so to those people, I got away from them, and I disassociate with them. And it's easy for someone to have bitterness and root in your heart when you have that kind of experience, because it's not only a skin color, it's a status, and it's some people are not really familiar with being around different people in the environment. Even though you can be in a public setting like a school or a hospital or anything like that, but people are just not willing to step out their comfort zone to know another person of a culture. This has been a case throughout my whole life. When I went away to college, I was the only black young man that was on the floor with predominantly white students, and I never really saw them just saw that we all young people. And I know that had to be God to keep me focused, because before I went down there, I was around some people that were that's a couple people I thought was my friend were really jerks. And they were and I don't know why I allowed myself to go through that and get humiliated, and it's so easy when you count enough of, you can go through with your own people that look like you, but so you're thinking that you're going to escape and get away from that, because when you're in a city environment, it's just you stand out because you don't do what the other people do and the lifestyle that they live. So you go to the suburbs, and it's just a whole different category, and it's a lifestyle. And one thing about going from the inner city to the suburb, it's a culture shock. Even going to a rural area, it's definitely a culture shock, because it's a slower pace. It's similar as far as economically, but it's just that you're like one of the few ones out there, and you're like one of the only few black kids out there, black young people out there. And so I can relate to a lot of these stories I see online. But I remember there was a time that I almost became kind of prejudiced. I was going to withdraw from white people. And in a way, just like, maybe I just need to back off and be around. And sometimes God has a different plan, because he sees where that hatred goes. He sees where that bitterness goes. He sees where the division goes. I've encountered it. And it can take root to the point that it can cloud your judgment. And that's when I went to school, and people said, how can you be down there with all them guys down there? Because they had all the people from the Caribbean, black, and other people upstairs. I couldn't get a second floor because it was already filled, so I had to take the first floor where my two roommates were white. It just happened to lay like that way. And, it's a different set of settings, so I've always been in that settings. But, it's weird how you meet some of these people that never really been around black people. They never had a black friend. They really don't, and they don't know how to speak to you. They don't know how to talk to you. So you learn something along the way. And I remember, meeting one of my college roommates. I was scared to go to his hometown because It's a small town, and I see how the way the person, associates that I talk to, whatever white, that their parents is going to put on this act like they really like you, but they just, they uncomfortable with your presence. But I was pleasantly surprised that they didn't act like that. In fact, they welcomed me with open arms, and I was really shocked. And so that kind of broke the wall down, that not to put everybody in the same category. But I can see how you can be put people in the category when you have it's not so much someone physically attacking you, it's a psychologically attacking you. And somehow you let that root in. And that sometimes that kind of prejudice, it takes root and it clouds your judgment. But luckily it didn't. And so you bond with people and you learn how to look at people differently. Not by what their background. And even though they treat you like family, even though you're not really family by blood or look similar, but they know that you're good people. I've had some good black friends in their families. In fact, that's all I was ever new to. And they were working class families. Just like we all are. The only kind of people I can't stand, to be honest with you, is people that's phony. And that can be anybody. That just got this fake personality. They're not really sincere. Or they act like they get around a certain crowd. And this is what I've always encountered across my life. They act like they're better than you. It used to bother me. It don't bother me no more. I just don't want to be. It used to, I know it shouldn't, but you get to a certain age, you don't have much patience for people like that. And I see it throughout my life. And sometimes I can see why some people be alone, because based on that, on it itself, just people's phony. If I have any prejudice, it's not so much the skin color or the culture, it's the attitude of some people. And that can be in the human race in general. I'm just going to be honest with you. If I now take a look back at it, that's the truth. It has nothing to do with skin color or culture. I met the people from different cultures and skin tones, and you met some good people in like other, even though that the English ain't too well, or they're not used to being around somebody, but some people they lack common sense, But, if anything else, they don't have to be ignorant, but some people choose to be ignorant. They choose not to want to know. They choose not to want to learn about other people. That was not always the case with me. No matter what environment I'm in, I'm going to learn about that environment. No matter if I'm in the city, I'm in the suburbs, or I'm in the country. If I have the pleasure of going to another part of the world, I'm going to learn about that culture. And if something bad happens to me, out of individual out of that culture, is not to take it out on the whole people. And I think that's what most of us struggle. We have a bad experience with somebody, and we like to really, some of us, not all of us, but some of us as a whole, as a human race, we tend to judge people because of our first encounter with that person of a different language, of a different skin tone. And it's the truth of a different appearance. And we think that we're going to be safe around people and likable around people who are in well-adjusted environments and safe environments. And that's not so. Some people will put on a face. Some people will treat you like you're invisible. And then you make them feel uncomfortable because you're in an atmosphere that they're not used to seeing so many people that favor you or in a certain status and class. It's all that. And this is what I've encountered. And when you see so much, when you walk with the Lord, you don't have time to see stuff like that. You don't have time to, when he was showing you some things, when you walk with the Heavenly Father, I just want to be real. I don't want to be phony and fake. I've seen it among white people. I've seen it among black people. I've seen it among different foreign groups of people as individuals, not as a collective. But it's just that, man, sometimes you get to the point you just don't want to be bothered with people in general. I think that's just because of that. It's just that you don't mean to feel that way, but when you come across someone who is opposite of you, we make up an excuse that we want to have something against them, and we jump into that defense mode. And I think that's what it is. But this weekend have really watching my neighbor's friend Bob. You probably seen in a couple of videos. I've gone to different places with him and his sister. His dad was a wonderful person. You know, his dad, took me in like their family. And he's the kind of guy, and I didn't get a chance to say this online, that he was a real good person, that he lived in a nice community, and he's just a people person. And he's the kind of person, no matter who you are or what background you come from, what you look like, he got a conversation with you. And there's a lot of things he personally told me that one time, he worked at a newspaper. He was a supervisor, and his workers was working up under him, and it was a black and white situation where this white worker was trying to get this black guy fired, and he tried to get him in trouble and try to see and go back and tell Bob's dad that this guy's doing all this, and so before Bob dad jumped to the conclusion, he knew that both these guys, he knew how hard they worked, but this guy was prejudiced, but he told that guy to back off that guy who's the black guy, that he's a good worker. He's one of the best workers I have, and that told me a whole lot. Like, wow, not all white people are the same, Even though it was a kind gesture, he did that for him, but it told me a lot about him as a person. There was a couple of times that, he gave me a few dollars for Christmas. Gave me a Christmas card, and he didn't have to do that. I got family that won't even do stuff like that for me. My extended family that think about you. And it really, in the family, most of the family, his daughters, his son-in-laws, people, they're cool. I love them in Christ. It's just that they put their arms around me, hug me, and it made me feel like a family. I got people I've known 30, 40 years that in my culture that look like me, but we really don't have that connection. And when we're in their presence, like we're strangers. I mean, some of my family members speak to me, but some of them, they don't have time to talk to me because I'm not part of their clique. And it's always been like that. But with Bob's dad, it kind of reminded me of my other friend Tim up there in Northwest Ohio. It was the same way. His family was just, believe me, it's a little small town. I didn't know what to expect. We bring this guy. And with Tim's mom, it was wild. I mean, she had experience. She lived in the South, and one of her best friends really was a black girl, and how she told me the story at one time when they was in the South back in, I think she said in the 60s or something like that. Her and her little girlfriend who was black, they wouldn't let her in the store. And she said, well, if my friend can't come to the store, then I'm not going to shop in any store. But ever since then, I think she's always been on the conquest that can stand to see stuff like that. And one time she gave me a thing about all the black leaders. I was blown away. she gave me a video. I forgot. I don't know how I lost it, of all the black leaders. And I'm like, wow. Here I'm out here in this little town, in this particular family, have, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, wow. And then, of course, she's been over to Africa, and, she's made people bond with people over there with a certain tribe. So one thing I learned about people, not everybody's the same. But she loved me like one of her sons. One time I got sick, man, she took care of me like I was one of her sons, make sure I eat. And I said, well, I can sleep on the... No, James, you sleep on the bed. You ain't sleeping on no floor. You ain't sleeping on the floor. You sleep on the bed. Tim, you move that stuff out the way. But, yeah. And, Tim was going to do it anyway, but at the time I spent the night out there in this little town in Ohio. But his father was cool. His siblings seem okay. I don't know. But the parents are cool. I think some people you always gonna find some people in the family. Not everybody gonna like you in the family, or they like you, but they just like you because they see. It's the same way how I see it when I would go to church. As long as a pastor, they can put on the face, but you get them one-on-one, it's like they don't know how to respond and act to you one-on-one. It's always like that. But it made up from those families made up for the bad ones I had to come across when I was in Youngstown. The ones that were insecure, the ones that were hidden prejudice, the ones that act like, they wouldn't associate with unless their friends associate with you. Stuff like that. And that's why I know people's personality. Different people. And you learn over time how to really see people's character. Without judging the appearance. I've seen the similar things among people that look like me in my family. You got that certain class of people, they see you when they see you, but you don't have no connection. They go their way, you go your way. You got the ones that's in the streets, they're wild. You got the ones that's college educated, self-absorbed with their own lifestyle, friends, family. Everybody got that. All races got people got it like that. So that's just extended family. But sometimes the immediate family, some of them are close, and there's I only have a very, very few people that's my friends and family. Me and my sister is pretty close, and I have a few good friends, and that's all. I'm blessed. That they one of the good. I'm blessed for the few people I have in my life. I can't complain because some people don't even have that. If you got one or two good people in your life, you are very blessed. Because not to me, the world is running out of kind people. It really are. People are just self-centered, self-awareness, and it's good that few people call me and check up on me, like my friend John, my sister. Of course, my mother's gonna call me, And once in a while, Bob wants. Of course, roller coaster Bob. He wants to ride roller coasters. This guy, man, he's 51 years old still. I don't knock it, but man, he goes to Kings Islands and here in Ohio and Cedar Point like 10 times in a year. From soon they open up in May all the way until October. He go back and forth up and down the highway. He do other stuff like once in a while he go to an air show. We used to go to the air show, but man, this dude's wrapped up in just obsessed with rides. Even when we go to the fairs, he got them rides that like the carnival rides, and I can't do the rides, man, like I used to. I'm like a lot of people. I mean, I don't, them certain moves and swings and everything. I can't do it. I can't, I can't do it. But he's a good guy. But, he's good when he does. But, but his dad was a wonderful person. And, he lives with his mom, talk with his sisters, hang out with them once in a while, just talk about stuff. One time we went to the movies and seen a movie and stuff. But you need people like that in your life. As right now we have a lady friend right now, just so sometimes people in life fill that gap, And I try to find somebody, me and my friend Barbara Will, he said, hey, well, what about at church, James? He said, women at church, there's some, the few women I went to, they're just in their own world. It's just that when you try to get to know somebody, but people in church, they tend to keep to themselves, And one of the reasons why I stopped going to church, because it seemed like in my way, I've always been the guy that always stepped out my comfort zone. And I tried to volunteer and do things that I do and stuff, but it seemed like when it comes to dealing with your fellow parishioners and different churches, it's like the churches I've been at, people just seem to be not interested. They don't, they put on an act and face like they all holy for the Lord, but as soon as they act, you see that as soon as that Bible is closed, the church is over, you see the real side come out. It's like, what happened to, we all got to learn about Christ and Jesus, and all of a sudden you just flip-flopping, and they be so self-centered, and they go off in their little cliques and enclaves, and there's no sitting around. I mean, I ain't trying to get personal to the point that, I want to get into putting any personal business, but man, what can we at least talk about? It'd be nice to talk about something about, if anything, could talk about God. Because I can share many stories with my encounters with God. I mean, you only got a certain amount of time when you out there, you give a personal testimony. But when it comes to people that's like that, it's just, they say they phony and fake. And that after a while, it seems like the people who don't go to church, you see on the streets, they seem more realer than the people that do. They seem more down to earth and be more helpful and have more time on their hand to give you time than the people that do. Because they ain't trying to be nobody, judge you by the way, gossiping, and looking what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of job you got, and you got to all, and they have this. You can tell you come across those people. It's like you don't want to deal with that stuff. And I think that I used to wonder, why do some people don't want to go to church? Now, as I see why. That pastor that fed you the word for 10, 15 years, and there's these people, and people at some point you would think that it would change how they look at people, because aren't we supposed to take on Christ's image and mindset and be real? Shouldn't it change, and other people change, and how you treat your brothers, especially in the church where you worship, because he assigned that body together. But find out some people don't want to be signed to the body. They want to do their own thing, and you find yourself being separated. So it's like, man, if that's the case, I might as well just stay out stay out of the church, or stay out in the world. And I know that not every church is perfect, and I'm not accusing every church like that, but it's hard to find that aspect, because I really don't really go out as far as to the bars. I'm too past that stage in my life. I'm not going to bars and clubs and stuff like that. No, it's not. No, that's not me no more. Um, but it's just dealing with people. I just, you get to a certain point. I'm not. I know I'm not the only. There's plenty of people out there. There might be people that might be listening to this video. You know what I'm talking about. You just don't want to be around people that's phony and fake all the time. You got to put on an act and air, and you really don't feel comfortable around it. You don't really feel like being bothered because they just got this certain persona and attitude. It's like what my friend said. Will said. He said, "I'd rather be celebrated than tolerated. I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be celebrated. And that's when I would go around Bob's people, I feel celebrated. When I go around other people, I feel tolerated. Like, and so I just don't go around people, and I like most people, you want a companion, but it's hard to find someone like that. So you hear people say, "Oh, you're gonna find somebody one day," and it's like, man, the way it's looking right now, it's just some women is just. I mean, some people. I mean, it's not like I've been looking. I used to expect it. Now I don't even expect it no more. It's like, okay, it just is what it is, Just, but to find somebody, just enjoy your companionship. Now it come at a cost. I've seen you see me do videos on it. Never thought people don't want to enjoy basic companionship no more. And it'd be nice if it'd be somebody a little bit younger and attractive, but I don't know. She ain't gotta be a drop dead gorgeous, model, nothing like that. Because I've seen some women. I've had some women that were attractive that was. They ain't have two stones in their head to rock. They ain't got common sense. Or you might somebody's way out there and got cuckoo and they got some issues. And it's rough being a single person. You got some people with some issues out there. I know we all have issues, but damn, just to get to know you have to feel somebody, and I'm human. I have my points. You like to have that companion before it gets cold again, but it's somebody that really is into you. That's hard to find somebody here. Because, I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into that. But, I just want to share you a little insight into myself. And so, as you get to know me, I'm a really likable person, I might be kind of withdrawn. I'm slowly coming out of it. I was never like this before. I was never really get on camera and be like this. It's just over time, I just got to, this time is, the Lord has opened me up because I just shut down and just take stuff from people, not respond back, give no feedback. And now I'm just to the point, some people, you find somebody offend you, you should kind of say something. Now I say something now, because I'm at a point in the age that you ain't not going to get on my nerves and say what you want, And you just, you get to the age, when I was younger, I tolerated a little bit more than I do. This stuff I shouldn't really tolerate it. But you can't change the past. But right now in the present, that's what I'm doing. But anyway, I just want to make a video to give you a little background. So when I do certain topics about social issues like race or something like that, it's not about, don't take it personal. But it's just a system. And I'm not really prejudiced or racist, nothing like that. No. I have God's spirit in me. And so, He's shown me the human condition. I've been in the hospitals, I've been in nursing homes. I've seen some things out there in the streets as far as homelessness, and I've seen a lot of people up under bondage. So it's to the point that one thing when I was walking with my mentor Pauline, this what may separate me from people that's in the church. You have the similar experience that the people you read about in the Bible. You know how the disciples were walking with Jesus, and whatever Jesus saw, they saw. Whatever he seen the people out there in need, and that's pretty much that's what we were doing. The Christ was in her. I was following the Christ, not her as an individual. The Christ that's in her, because that is a sign to her to mentor me, to show me what's really going on out here. And when you see the suffering of people, and when you take time out to listen to people, you realize how blessed you really are. That there's some people going out there that's suffering, and they don't feel like they have no hope, no friendship, no family. You see people suffering in the nursing homes at the last years of their life. You see people in the hospital suffering and it changes you. It really changes you. When I seen that from her eyes, it changed. Like most people, you go to church or you visit somebody in the hospital, but when you go and you constantly see it, it changes you how you appreciate life a little bit more. So that's why it affected me ever since I came to Columbus back in 2007. I didn't think I was going to be in this planet too long. And I think it was the timing that God saved my life. And just let me know that, hey, I ain't forgot about you, because there was a point in my life that I was so deep that it was depressing me to the point that I didn't even feel human no more. There's a place of loneliness and rejection and pain throughout an individual's life that you don't even feel human. And I know that some people might understand what I'm talking about, and it really causes you it's not till God come and grab you, because some people slowly die off the earth, literally die off, of a broken heart, and hurt and pain takes on the physical, mental status of a person, and they go downhill. And it's only through Yeshua Mashiach, Jesus Christ, that lifted me up. And I didn't know how important I was to God until he let me know when I came here. And then, so he said, I'm taking him up under your wing. I'm going to show him some things. And at first, I ain't going to have no man up under me. I'll give him over to another man. To a man, I'm a woman. That's how at the time he said, no, this assignment is for you, to get him up so he can see. And I've been grateful and thankful, and I have grown spiritually and learned, even with certain people off the ministries I've seen off the internet, have grown. I've grown churches here, but certain people have taken me to a different level on the internet and the teachings. And time, patience, things that you hear about 5-10 years ago, you see now. So I'm thankful about that. But I thought I just want to share the story with you. I hope this don't be boring. I hope it just let you know that if you wanted people out there that been through this, you're not the only one. And this is my story. And you get to the point that, and I was at that point, I didn't want to be in this earth no more. It got to that point. A couple of times I felt like that. So I feel like I failed. You start going through this regret. You should have did this. Why you don't have this? Why you don't have that? And it was not been for the Most High. I'm the reason why I'm living. And like I said, not only did he save my life years ago, he saved my soul. He literally saved me so many times. I can never repay Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. Because I know I shouldn't be here. You know, he has saved my soul, saved me from so much. And so many people that are my age are no longer here. Some people younger than me are no longer here. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful every day. You know, and I at least got a roof over my head. I'm thankful for the little things. I got somewhat of a run around hoopty car, hey, and a phone. That's all that matters. Some people ain't even got that. Some people ain't got no place to lay their head down and take a shower. And I'm thankful about that. And I ain't no better, because I could be one of those people out there that lost their mind and boom, disappear out there in the world, never be seen. But thank God for his hand on me and have me favor. And thank God, you know, I don't suffer some people, because some people are up on addiction, whether it's mental, alcoholic. You never know someone's story, because people don't really have time to take the time out to really listen to people. Some people prejudge people without examining the whole thing. And that's what people do all around. Some people cut people off and think that some people threw you, cast you to hell and everything else. But God has said it should not be so. Because as long as that person have life in their breath in their body, he still loves them. So that, if anything, that if you're one of those kind of people that feel like you've been tossed and thrown away of life, you're not. No matter what you look like, skinny, tall, short, how wise you are, whatever you look like, whatever your height, whatever language, whatever it is, you may feel like you might feel like you're isolated, and maybe people treat you like a freak. But in the eyes of God, you're beautiful. You're unique. You're his precious jewel, just like I am. You know, don't matter if I ain't the most flattering, charming, handsomest, whatever the society says, claim to be. I'm not the it person. I may not be the it person in this world, but I'm the it person in Christ. And there's many else you do. You may not have a voice. And maybe God has to keep you in hidden, because there's some people, they're cold out there. And if you open up your heart and open up who you really are, some people will roll over and take advantage of you and don't give a squat how they do it. So that's just a lesson. So whether you're a man or woman or whoever listens to this video, let them know that there's someone out there that's been through the storms. You're looking at a person that, and believe me, that's my testimony. So I hope you, I got many more testimonies like this, but, you know, but don't have bitterness in your heart. If someone do you wrong of a different, even if it's a different gender, if it's a different race, don't hold on to it. Because you're going to hold on, that bitterness is going to block your blessing. Last thing you need is to get your blessing blocked. I learned that sometimes you got to learn to forgive and forget. And it's going to take a while to forget, but try to forgive. It ain't that serious. Okay, then. Hopefully I plant something in somebody. You get to know me, who I am, and to see who I really am. This is who I really am. I'm no phony, I'm no fake. This is the real James. Thank you for being my subscriber, and if there wants to see his video, and be having some more interesting topics down the line. I'm not good with the editing and all that stuff like that. I'm trying to master that. Well, you guys take care and be blessed, and you know, stay cheerful, because God's with you. Even though some of you might not believe in him, it's not just a history lesson. It's a relationship. Remember. And that's the best relationship to have when it comes to living in this earth. Okay, then. You take care. Be blessed. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen. Till next time.